A lot of tremendous games that were taking place, but there's only one that was the main event. There's only one main card at a UFC championship, and this was the game. The Rams and the Buccaneers, all the stars were out. You had LeBron, you had Melo, you had Dr. Dre, you had Larry David, you had Jason Sudeikis. All the stars are out for this one. It was a potential NFC championship preview. The Rams able to prevail over the Buccaneers in really dominant fashion, 34-24. Now, let me first say this. This was clearly a much bigger game for the LA Rams. There's no question about that. You're going up against a Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. They're the defending Super Bowl champions. They're a proven commodity already. So for them, there's no question this is still a big regular season game. But even with that being said, this isn't the Super Bowl. This isn't the playoffs. These aren't similar atmospheres to what they experienced last year. This is just another kind of highly marquee matchup in the regular season that they certainly want to play good, and they want to play good enough to win a game. That's what they hope for. But this was the true stage for the LA Rams. This is an LA Rams team off to a great 2-0 start. A team that just signed and traded for Matthew Stafford. And this is the big stage for Matthew Stafford. And you're 2-0 with wins over the Bears and the Colts. And now you got the defending champs coming into SoFi Stadium. It's beautiful. And this is the moment that they've been preparing for their entire season. This is why they made the trade, is for Matthew Stafford, 4 games like this. This was why they traded for him. But this was the first time that it almost felt like the Rams needed to justify. They needed a game like this to validate and justify trading for Matthew Stafford. And that couldn't have been more true than what we saw yesterday. Because this was an absolutely sensational performance for Matthew Stafford. This game validated for the Rams why they traded for Matthew Stafford. And it's not just the fact that Sean McVay could open up more of the playbook, because to be honest, the offenses are very similar. A lot of the same play calls that were run for Matthew Stafford yesterday and through the first 3 games, it was the same offensive scheme for Jared Goff. The difference is, and I've alluded to this ad nauseum before, is one guy was willing to take the shots down the field in Matthew Stafford. And when he is taking a chance and trying to create a big play, you have the other guy, you juxtapose that with a guy in Jared Goff who was more unwilling, more reticent to take those chances down the field. And to me, that's really kind of the big takeaway is it was clear, it was evident right from the very beginning just how much Matt Stafford is an upgrade from a play calling standpoint. Again, the type of success down the road, who knows? Jared Goff, this is a Jared Goff guy who led the Rams to a Super Bowl appearance in 2019, just 3 years ago. But you're seeing, again, right away, the big play opportunities, how kind of off script Matt Stafford can go, especially on the deep ball. You hit Deshaun Jackson, who's a 34-year-old guy, for a 75-yard touchdown pass. That's the 3rd time this year for the Rams through the first 3 games that they've connected on a 50-plus yard touchdown pass. For some perspective, the Rams all of last season, only twice did they have a 50-plus yard touchdown pass. And if you go back to the last 2 seasons, in 2019 and 2020 combined, they only had 3 50-plus yard touchdown passes. They've already accumulated that through the first 3 games of this year. And so the impressive thing is that even though this was a regular season game, again, for the Rams and for Matthew Stafford, this was the biggest game of Matthew Stafford's career. And that includes 3 trips to the postseason with the Detroit Lions. Because this was the first time in Matt Stafford's career where he was truly playing in not only a really highly pressurized, high leveraged moment in a game of this magnitude, but playing for a team that legitimately has Super Bowl aspirations. Legitimately is a team that can compete for a Super Bowl. And so all of that was the backdrop entering this contest. And yet, even with that, he goes out and in the biggest game of his personal career, he delivers the best performance of his career. And especially considering the magnitude of the moment, this clearly was the biggest stage for Matt Stafford. And he balled out. He was absolutely sensational. 27 of 38, 343 yards, 71% completion, 4 touchdowns. You have the eyes of the world watching. You've got the Rams coaches, the media members, the entire NFL. This was what they wanted to see. How would you be able to handle this moment, this pressure? Would you be able to play up to our personal expectations of you? Or will you kind of put up a bunch of empty calorie numbers but no win and not deliver a game-winning performance? And again, the only question about Matt Stafford when this trade was made was how would he be able to perform in high leverage moments in games of this magnitude? Because to be honest, we really had a limited kind of sample size given the dearth of talent that existed within the Detroit Lions' organization for the majority of his career there. Obviously, there were certain years where he made the postseason with Megatron and they had some talented players. But there was never at any point were we really saying the Detroit Lions are going to make a deep run to the playoffs and probably going to reach the Super Bowl. That was never a realistic conversation that was had. Just wasn't. And he even came out and said prior to the start of the season that he embraced these moments. He embraced these highly meaningful games, being a part of games of this magnitude. That's what he was hoping for. That's what he was relishing, was the opportunity to be on this stage, to be carrying this burden, have that responsibility of knowing I need to play my best to propel this team to a win. And he did just that. And you had the offense clicking. You had the defense rolling. They were absolutely smothering defensively. 3 sacks yesterday. They were able to apply pressure on Brady. And every time, this secondary was fantastic. Every time a Bucs receiver would catch the ball, they were immediately swarmed by the Rams secondary. They were flying around. Kenny Young had some tremendous tackles. Obviously, Jalen Ramsey. Aaron Donald finally recorded his first sack of Tom Brady in their 4 matchups that they've played this year. Played against each other in their careers. So the defense was really impressive, and I think that just overall this was a really impressive game for the Rams, given that, again, this might be a preview of the NFC Championship game. It just might. And we always kind of viewed the Rams as a bubble Super Bowl contender, but this performance certainly validated that they are a contender to win the Super Bowl. For sure, they're in that select bubble, and I wouldn't be surprised if you listen to different media pundits today and talk heads today that are saying that the Rams might be the favorite. I don't know if someone's going to overreact too much, but you can certainly make a case that the Rams are the best team in football right now. There's no question about it. So big time performance